Live from Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa, once again, Diane Sawyer and George Stephanopoulos.
We are back. It has been a rocking debate so far, and we want to get to another issue that you all have talked about extensively in this campaign, and that is values, family, and faith. Governor Romney and Governor Perry, you both made it a feature of ads you ran in Iowa this week, which leads to this question from our partners at the Des Moines Register. I want to show it up on the screen. Should voters consider marital fidelity when making their choices for president? And Governor Perry, in South Carolina this week, you said this is an important issue. Why?
Well, I said that not only did I make a vow to my wife, but I made a vow to God. And that's pretty heavy lifting in my book. When I make a vow to God, then I would suggest to you that's even stronger than a handshake in Texas.
Is about its relevance to the presidential race. So let me just follow up quickly. Do you think a candidate who breaks his marital vows is more likely to break faith with voters?
Well, you know, I think the voters are wise enough to figure that one out. I've always kind of been of the opinion that if you cheat on your wife, you'll cheat on your business partner. So I think that issue of fidelity is important. I mean, it's a characteristic of which people look at individuals, whether it's in their business lives or whether it's in their personal lives or whether it's picking someone to serve in public office for them. Individuals who have been in fidelity with their spouse, I think that sends a very powerful message. If you will cheat on your wife, if you will cheat on your spouse, then why wouldn't you cheat on your business partner? Or why wouldn't you cheat on anybody for that matter?
Senator Santorum, you were on This Week last Sunday, and you summed up your position as character counts. You said this is relevant as well.
I think character issues do count, and I think all of your record, personal as well as political record, is there for the public to look at. I would not say it's a disqualifier. I wouldn't go that far. I think people make mistakes, and you are held accountable to those mistakes, and the public will listen to the circumstances and make their decision. But certainly it's a factor, and it should be a factor. You're electing a leader. You're electing someone that trust is everything, and particularly in this election. This election, the people of Iowa, I hear this all the time. Who can we trust? And I go out and talk about my record. I talk about the fact that I've been married 21 years and have 7 children. I talk about the fact that I have a record that's consistent in conservative politics. I talk about, you know, my past. I think that's important, and for the people to go and determine whether they're trustworthy enough to earn their support.
Congressman Paul, what's your view on this?
You know, I think character is obviously very important. I don't think it should be necessary to have to talk about it. I think it should show through in the way we live, and I think it should show through in a marriage. And I happen to have been married for 54 years and a family person, but I don't think we should have to talk about it. But you know what probably is every bit as important. If your marriage vows are important, what about our oath of office? That's what really gets to me. That's where you're really on the line as a public figure. And that's where I think a lot of people come up real short, because there's many times that I've been forced to Congress because I take my oath very seriously. I end up sometimes, believe it or not, voting all by myself, thinking that why aren't they people paying attention? Why don't they read Article 1, Section 8? You know, if we took that oath of office seriously in Washington, we'd get rid of 80% of the government. The budget would be balanced. We'd have sound money, and we would have prosperity, and we wouldn't be the policemen of the world. We wouldn't have a Federal Reserve System, and we wouldn't be invading the privacy of every single individual in this country with bills like the Patriot Act. We'd have a free society and a prosperous society.
Governor Romney, you chose to make your family and your faith a feature of your first ad here in Iowa this week. Why?
Well, actually, President Obama's PAC came out with an ad attacking me and said that I'm not a person of core values. I don't have a core. And we said, you know, in my prior campaigns, I've come out with ads that show who I am and why I've gotten in this race. And that relates to my family and my kids. I'm really concerned about America. I think the issue people have to concentrate on is who can lead America to a place where we don't become a Greece or an Italy. Because, frankly, that's the path we're on. That's where we're going. Who can make sure that America's values, our merit-based society, continues to be the hallmark of what allows our economy to create jobs? Who can make sure that it's good to be middle class in America again? Who can make sure that America is the job-creating engine it once was? Who can make sure that kids going to school know that when they get out of school, they're going to have a job waiting for them that meets the kind of skills that they've created? I believe I'm that person. And part of my motivation for doing those things is I love this country. I love the values of this country. And I want to make sure that my kids and my grandkids, and I have quite a few of them, 16, that they have an America that's as prosperous as the America that I've enjoyed and just as free.
I want to get Congresswoman Bachmann and then Speaker Gingrich, you wrap this up.
Well, the founders spoke about this, and the question was asked, what is it that we need to have in a president? And they wrote in the Federalist Papers, they didn't look at wealth, they didn't look at education, they didn't look at position. They looked at just one issue, and it was, what's the measure of the man, or what's the measure of the woman, in our case, for being the next president of the United States? Will they keep their word? Will they be a man or woman of integrity? That's what they cared about. That was more important than anything else. And I think here in Iowa, that's what I've seen. That is also what people care about. Who are you really? What is your center? What's your core? What's your worldview? What drives you? And so people want to know, what's your faith? I'm a Christian. I'm unashamed and unapologetic about that. I have a strong faith. I made a proclamation of my faith in Christ when I was 16. And I don't mind if people ask me those questions or ask me about my husband or our family. I'm happy to talk about that, because after all, people need to take the measure of the man or the measure of the woman when they make that decision.
Speaker Gingrich, what do voters need to know about this issue from your perspective?
Well, first of all, I think it is a real issue. I think people have to look at the person to whom they're going to loan the presidency. And they have the right to ask every single question. They have to have a feeling that this is a person that they can trust to the level of power we give to the presidency. And I think that's a very, very important issue. And I think people have to render judgment. In my case, I've said up front openly, I've made mistakes at times. I've had to go to God for forgiveness. I've had to seek reconciliation. But I'm also a 68-year-old grandfather, and I think people have to measure who I am now and whether I'm a person they can trust. And all I can tell you is that, you know, I am delighted at the way people have been willing to look at who I am, to look at what my record has been, and the amount of support we're getting from the American people and from all across the state of Iowa, the number of people who are supportive of a candidacy of real change and a record of real change.